D.Ajayi. I'm a writer and creator of O Kingdom Come. It's coming from the publishing house Tell Our Own Tales. That's focused on telling stories that are often overlooked. So this is the first comic book feature. They usually do short films and videos. So this is the first comic book that I'm heading to get out. It focuses on the ancient kingdoms that were along the Nile and how their struggle for power and control of the Nile led to the downfall of Nubia, which was the most advanced original civilization known to man.
Hey, it's Kellen, and today on Diversified Game, I got some comic book game. For those of you who thought, Wakanda and, you name one other comic that happens to be Black and African focused. No. There are more to come. And I have the creator, D.Ajayi, the creator of O Kingdom Come. He is going to give the game on how he got into the comic game, when his Marvel deal, or maybe he wants to go somewhere else because he's like, you know what, I can get a better deal over here at crypto.com. I'm giving, prophecy right now.
I like it.
But welcome to the show, brother. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
Man, thank you for coming on. Yes, you guys, what's that name? It's Yoruba, you guys. That's Naija. That's the super eagle. He is here to say, yes, I'm one of the many accomplished ones. I need to know what sparked you getting into the comic game, because it's an expensive, difficult game to get into.
It is. I've been writing stories for like a while. My sister's in the media industry in Nigeria. She's done shows like Love Come Back, and she works for Mnet and all this stuff. And every time I write like a show or a movie, I'll say, hey, what do you think of the script? And she's like, okay, this is great, but it's a $200 million budget. I don't, what do you want me to do with this? I'm like, okay. So I wrote a short film, which they're going to be shooting later this year, called Fatherhood, before the Kevin Hart one came out, but it was called Fatherhood. And she's like, okay, this is doable. You can do on a real budget. This is really good. And we shopped it around and it got picked up. So I was like, oh, okay. So my writing's decent. My writing's pretty good. So I started actually writing the other more passion projects that I had for myself. And I went to go pitch it for a show. I was thinking of an African Game of Thrones kind of thing. And they said, this is good, but it's risky for a new IP. They want to see some kind of following. So someone suggested, hey, why don't you put it in a graphic novel format? Walking Dead did it. Game of Thrones did it. They've all done it. And that's when I decided to go make it a graphic novel. So it's already done. A lot of the comic, I've gotten that a lot, that how expensive and how tough it is for a comic book. I think it's a lot harder when your story is not done. When it's completely done already, it's still expensive, but I think that actually allows you to plan your costs a little better.
Wow. So what a blessing to have a sister that kind of, she was right there in a position where you could, throw your ball and she'll be next too, Yep. She'll be next. I want to hear that story as well.
Definitely.
That she helped you do that. Now, did she have a helping hand? Just to get in the game, sometimes that's the hardest part, to find out who can say yes, who can finance, who can write that check so you can create the next.
Yeah.
Like, where does this all start?
So yeah, and that's the best part, right? So she's not in the game really. She she went to school here. She went to Boston University. She went there for filmmaking, and so she moved back to Nigeria because she wanted to work on the continent. And it was a long road to get to start directing and stuff like that. I feel like that part's really doable. To move from here to Nigeria or somewhere on the continent to start working in media. That part I feel like across the board is pretty doable. Now you getting in and everything, obviously your hustle, just hard work and networking. She's not super up there connected, but we know how to we can get in the doors to talk to the right people. So I feel like it's doable across the board. But that was, it was really good to have somebody to validate that my writing is sellable. So that's the part that's probably the most important. So the criticism part.
Now, talk about criticism. There's a lot of criticism with folks on the continent saying they're not paying enough to act. They're not paying us enough to create. Here you are in America and you're making, that Naira.
Yeah.
Can you talk about the negotiation? I don't want you to tell people how much money, because if you have too much, you'll have 5 more cousins that you never knew.
Out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So how much in which part? Like to make the book, or?
Well, first, if you're gonna sell it in Nigeria, was it enough to say, you know what, I can pay my bills here in America enough so I can create more and not have to work 40 hours or 60 hours? In Africa, people are shocked, saying, how many hours do you work a week? Even doctors, like, what?
I'm definitely working on the side. So I work for Microsoft. So it's definitely for now, before it becomes self-sufficient. If you're going to get into this, I think we'll need some kind of income beforehand. Will you be able to get there? 100%. We did our Kickstarter. We got fully funded in 2 weeks. That's another avenue everybody goes to. You can either use it for actual funding, or you can use it for, it's a good marketing opportunity for everyone to get eyes on your product. So we used Kickstarter, and it was successful within a couple of weeks.
Okay, now if you were in Nigeria and you got the same deal, would it have been enough to say, you know what, I don't even need another job?
So, and that's where it gets tricky. So if I was in Nigeria, because I wrote it and I pretty much was like the director of it. So would I be able to pay an artist? Yeah, pretty well. I'd be able to pay an artist pretty well. Printing, that would be pretty easy as well. It would be tight, but you can probably pull it off. It'd be tight, I would say.
And some of y'all, I'm not talking about Victoria Island.
No, we ain't going there. No, sir. I'm talking about Ikeja, K2. Talking about Agbado. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, you're gonna have to be on the outskirts a little bit to save your coin.
Okay, where your average person is living. It's like saying, oh, I'm gonna be in Melrose or Beverly Hills. I'm not talking about that, because you can spend too much money wherever you are in the world.
That's true.
Now, because you had to pay an artist, and I have a children's book, my wife and I did, and we do them on our children's vacations. We do, right?
Awesome.
And I tell people, illustration costs, and they say it doesn't cost that much. I found someone to do my whole book for $200 on Fiverr. That's okay. I like to pay my people properly. I don't have any Fiverr artists, and there's some great ones on Fiverr that do cost. But when you talk about the budget of what it costs to pay an illustrator, because you need somebody who's going to stay with you, stick with you, be loyal to the soil. So explain how you found that person and just budgeting that cost.
So I already knew that was going to cost a lot. So I got ready to spend. I wanted to do a couple of pages a week. I'm pretty detailed, and I could be a little controlling of that aspect. So I actually worked with about 3 at the same time, all drawing the same things, and they were all doing probably 100 a page. So that's about 300 that I've budgeted that, okay, if something goes wrong, if somebody falls through, I still have 2 other people that are still moving on time, on schedule. And so and that's what I always tell people. And that's the part where it's really expensive. That's just the way I operate. If I'm not too familiar with the space, I'm working with multiple people at the same time, so I don't lose time, because the time is the one thing that is priceless to me that I can't get back. So I'll spend that money to make sure I don't waste time. So I was working about 3 artists at the same time, and there's like 1 or 2 that I was like, oh, okay, I like their style a little bit more. So there are some pages of theirs that I'd be waiting on more than the other artists, but I also always had a backup, so I would never fall behind.
Amen. You must be single, because if you do relationships, we're gonna have to, the bride price alone, we got to take it step by step and make sure we're out of this country so we're not breaking any laws. But I definitely, I love it. Now, can you give that young person who says, wow, this is really cool. I didn't even know we could do this without,
Mm-hmm.
a major studio budget.
Yeah.
You have a great job, but it
Yeah.
doesn't matter how much money you have. It's what you do with it.
Exactly.
So how long did it take to prep to say, you know what, I'm going to take this amount of money, put it to the side, not touch it? And when did you know you were ready?
Yeah, 100%. So and the thing with and the money thing is what helps with my time, right? So if I didn't have as much, and that gives me, I have a good idea of what I would do because I tried making well, I did make a mobile game app for Zynga that like completely broke. I coded it myself. So you would have to take on a lot more yourself, obviously, if you don't have that much and you're younger. You might. I don't believe in trying to learn. I can't draw. So I didn't even bother trying. I know there's some people that are trying to learn to draw, but I can't draw. I can't. It's not happening for me. I can't draw a straight line. So I didn't bother trying to learn to draw. If you have a gift, being able to draw, then you should definitely take that part on yourself. I would say taking that would probably cut a lot of what your cost will be. When I knew I was ready was I'm trying to see. I wanted to do earlier this year. I actually was working with another artist, and we did character designs. And then they kept saying, "Oh yeah, after the character designs, we'll get started on the book." And then they said, after some time, they're like, "Oh, a comic book is a lot of work, and we need to really plan this." I'm like, "I'm ready, man. Let's go. Like I've been ready for this." He's like, "Okay, well, I have some other commissions, and I'll get back to you." Kind of thing. Once you say that to me, I gotta go search. I gotta go. I gotta go get to work. I gotta go find other people because you can say that to me multiple times. So that's when I knew I was ready. Like, okay, this is going because the same artist or person was working on their own book as well. So you have to think other people have other intentions at the same time. So I was ready. I knew that within a few months I could probably get it done. So I would say like February, March this year, I was already like, okay, let me go get this done. I have the artist I want. I know where I'm going to end this book because I wrote this whole story as a series. So the first, that first 20 minutes of a new show that catches your attention, that's what I split up into volume 1 and 2 of this book. So it translated well to comics since I already wrote it from a director perspective.
Wow. And you went to school, but you didn't necessarily go to school to learn how to do this.
No, not at all.
what university outside of school, what courses did you take, or how did you learn, how to do this and the steps needed?
Okay, so I guess the most important part is the writing. The writing, I practiced. I'll write something. Is this good? And be critical of yourself, right? So something that happens a lot, and it's probably going to trigger a bit, is not being so. We're a part of this Black comic creators. There's a lot of superheroes in there. I don't believe in doing something if there's something already better or very comparable to it. I think that you'll face a lot of saturation to try and stick out. It's going to be really tough. So unless you have what Robert Kirkman did with Invincible, like he completely changed the superhero genre. If you're just making another superhero, I wouldn't do that. That's where I wouldn't do that because I want something that sticks out. I want something that will be a eye catcher. So being critical of what you're writing, that's probably the biggest part of being like, this thing isn't really that good. I've let go of a lot of things that were very similar to something else, and I just trashed it. And so I'd be like, oh, you can't do that. What if you have a different view of it? I'm like, no, it's not. There's so many other things you can make that are very unique that will stick out that you don't have to worry about this one thing. I remember when I was a teenager, I wrote a story about this sport that they play on skates and they pass a ball around. And I saw the trailer for Rollerball. It was like the 2000s. I don't know if you remember. The movie didn't do great, but I saw it and I trashed it. I was like, and I trashed it. I just trashed it. Like it was too similar to what I was writing. So I think that part allows you to make things that are really going to be like, oh wow, I've never seen that. Oh wow, I've never experienced something like this before. There's a bunch of stuff I've written that I saw something similar. I was worried about Black Panther. When Black Panther came out, I was like, no, don't do this. But it was different enough that I was like, okay, this is gonna affect what I'm making. So but yeah, being critical of what you're writing, the writing is the most important part. If you draw, then obviously be critical of what you're drawing. Let it be, compare yourself to the majors. If you don't feel like it comes close to the majors, keep practicing or drop it.
And so, you know, and there's so many things in entertainment that are similar, and people say, "Oh, so stole my idea," and it's like, no, there's just a lot of ideas.
A lot of ideas. That's right.
How do you, you know, say, okay, now I need, you know, a deal? Did you first say, let me get a literary agent, or did you say, let me create my own publishing house, my own, you know, studio, so then I can run it through the business, so I won't be a self-published author? Like, what was your format? My thing is, I'm my own publishing house, and you know that's me. That's just the way that I like it. But what was your method?
I agree. I think it should be your own publishing house in the beginning. I think you're going in so without any leverage, you're not going to get a great deal. If you just go in as a self-publishing and you have a fan base and your book takes off, they're going to come to you. Those houses will come to you. If you want them, then you can use that to actually negotiate. I don't think you should go in so depending on what you're looking for. I don't think you should go in so early. And that's with any business model. I think you should try and do as much as you can, depending on the product, and then use that to negotiate on your way in.
Definitely. And I love that. Now, what conferences have you gone to that have, you know, you're like, this is a great conference. This is where I need to be every year.
Mm-hmm. So COVID kind of hurt things this year, but I am signed up for BlurredCon. So that's actually this weekend. And I've basically been picking creators' brains for the past few months, getting on podcasts, just trying and hear what problems they're facing in the industry to know what hurdles I'd have to overcome. The conferences, besides BlurredCon, that was the only one I could find that was actually active for this year. So I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be this weekend.
Okay, and if you get to have your goals and what you want to set up, would you rather, not that you have to choose one or the other, but would you rather, my comic books blow up or my comic book turns into a movie? I'd rather that happen than it be like this, Superman series, and then eventually someone finds it. Like, what would be your ideal way of this growing?
Oh man, the ideal way would be volume 1 and 2 do well, and then I can probably pitch it for a show. I'd like it to be a show. I would like the people to be able to. I would like the culture to be able to see themselves on TV in a different way a little bit. I think it's long overdue that we're seeing, especially since a lot of the content that we gravitate to is stuff based off our ancients. So I would love for it to be, our ancients that are being seen. Like, oh, that guy looks like me, and this person looks like this. That other person looks like me as well. I would love, that'd be the ideal situation. A show after volume 1 and 2.
Now, when you go and talk about our ancient history, because many people in this country and maybe much of the West know Black folks of we only came out when we were slaves, and that was our intro. To the world.
That was it. We just we dropped out of the sky right there.
Yeah. We But when you get into the ancient, you have even Africans, especially those who are Christian, who, oh no, you can't say those towers. Hey, that's juju. That's mysticism, because colonization has made it where anything that isn't in the 66 books, which is not even the complete Bible.
That's right. Tell them, Kellen. Tell them.
Yeah. Can you talk about that in any pushback? Maybe an aunt or a family member. Don't say names.
No, 100%. No, I had something similar happen on another show where somebody was telling me how complicated this. And he meant well. I don't think it was, but I'm like, okay, this is interesting because this is what people are thinking. How complicated it would be to try and pull this story off. I'm like, oh, the story's pulled off. It's done. I don't know. I don't know what you mean. I already wrote it. Like you're just experiencing it now. So, and that's what and those views, they're not ill intended. It's just they need to see it from a different angle, and that's what I'm hoping to do. So the stuff with the mysticism and all that, if they see it in a different way, like gods and all that, if they see it in a different angle, maybe it'll be easier to be like, oh, okay, so this wasn't so evil. It was just made that way because they didn't understand it, or it didn't, it didn't go against, it went against our interest. So it's a way to see it in a different angle that'll help you to like digest that part of our culture more, because there is a lot. From the research I did, I spoke to Dr. Runoko Rashidi. He's a huge historian. Barrister Comey, he wrote the 100 African Kings and Queens. He wrote that book. So I spoke to all these historians while I was writing this, and the general consensus is there was a lot that happened, and it happened very fast, and that's why it's hard to understand why we fell so far so quickly. But yeah, I definitely think another angle of seeing that, of the juju and the other form of mysticism. Once you see another angle of it, you'll understand it better, because they put in their shows. There are all kinds of witches in Game of Thrones, and it's all fun and dandy there. It's not evil there. So once you see another angle of it, I think that's what's going to help them to digest it better.
It's crazy, and the late Dr. Henry Clark shared a lot of light on the history of all of the religions and how they come back to the birthplace of man, which only makes sense if it's the birthplace of man, right?
It is.
And how you could see something on TV, like you just said, and it's all good that they can do that. And and I'm talking with Black people, because I can't even take what outsiders say of the culture. What do they know? But when your own Black folk, even those who were born on the continent of Africa, so we don't give any excuse, say that is of the devil, and that's the devil. Ancestors.
It's not fair. Yeah, it's so important how you can see how, like, just being indoctrinated into a viewpoint, it stays and it sticks and it's hard to get rid of. My wife was talking about how she got here. My wife's from Nigeria. We met in high school. But she was talking to another lady at the park where my kids were playing, and I love how it's changed because of my mom. It was my mom back in the time. My mom and African Americans did not get along. There was a whole thing where African Americans feel like Africans were being bougie. They didn't want to try and like connect, and now that kind of dissipated a lot. They're actually connecting, and it's very interesting because they don't teach Africans about slavery. They don't know anything about it. In fact, if you ask about, I remember during our wedding when I brought my groomsmen from here to there, so they got a culture shock. But my grandmother was like, "Oh, there's Black people in America?" That's what my grandmother said. She's like 90 something. She's like, "What? Where they come from?" They're like, "Yeah, they're the major's friends from America." Like, there's Black people in America, so they don't know. They don't like that's she's from like the village, so you can imagine where else that viewpoint is. And then there's the other viewpoint of people that were involved a little bit in slave trade, but they didn't understand the extent of the humanity that was being beaten out of people, because they have like a apprenticeship method in Nigeria where kids work as house helps. They're stamping it out, but it was never what they do here, that you get beaten and raped. It wasn't like that. It was like you're adopting a kid and they helped out around the house. So it's very interesting because I think Tinubu's mother, which is one of the popular governors in Nigeria, his mother was a famous textile seller, and she used to sell in the slave trade. So when she found that out, she stopped it immediately. So there's a lot that goes into all of that, and I address a lot of it, and I frame it in a way that people can understand. Cause I don't want to beat them over the head with it, but I definitely want them to know it's important.
Yeah, and for anyone listening and say, I've heard Kellen talk about the house help. See, that's where I'm trying to go to Africa. First of all, I didn't have to go to Africa to have help around the house. I have help now, and I appreciate that help. And even when you're in Africa, and that person can be living on your premises, and that can be a family member. And I like to overpay people as much as my budget allows, but it's stimulating the economy and giving a job. So it's not taking advantage of somebody. And if you have a driver, your driver will most likely eat with you, you know, if you're going on a journey.
It's like family.
Yeah, so I don't want anyone to get it mixed up like, oh, we just love Africa because we can pay the police, we can have all this house
No, it's not like that.
Yeah, you know, because I didn't have to go to anywhere to do that, thank God. I work hard, but everybody else, it's just the culture. And if you don't have that, or if you're not comfortable with that as an expat especially, I could understand. There's no shame in doing all that labor yourself. It's just not for me, you know?
100%.
Yeah. So, no, I love that. Now, you're going to have success. You have the capital connections, as they say. You know, you got to have connections, but you got capital connections. What is a community give back that you are doing or that you plan on doing in the future?
I'd love to give the books. I've already worked with a printer in Lagos. My sister, that same one, she runs a nonprofit called You're for Africa, where she kind of takes kids' artistic talent and showcases it. So I want to be giving them books. I want to do other things outside of the entertainment space that I'm probably going to be unveiling close to early next year once I can actually travel there again. But I definitely want to start with giving them books, let these kids see what they look like on a grand scale. A lot of the kids that signed up for the book already, their names are going to be in it. So that's what I'm going to be starting out as. I hope it can be something a lot bigger down the line for sure.
Man, this is awesome. And I hope that since you are in Florida, that you're able to check out the natpe.org conference, especially if we can do it in person again this year. That would be awesome in Miami, because I think you need to be out there. They need to see, you know, this is where the buyers go. This is where the executives of TV and the producers go.
Oh, wow.
And,
okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Just gave me game.
With unity, we all win, and we got to make sure that we're giving this information out. So when we're at a conference or in a building, we're not the only one, because we're not special. It's just what we learn and how we, you know, jump on that opportunity.
That's true.
Right now, I want you guys to go look in the description box, whether you are listening or those of you who are watching. I'm getting more and more watchers, but I thank for the thousands and thousands and thousands who listen as well. And go to the website, O Kingdom Come. I also want you to check around and see if that Kickstarter is still active, and that you can jump on that as well, so you can see the gifts available there. So when you do see this on the big screens, you won't say, oh, I should have got the collector's item when it was available.
That's right. I'm not going to print them. I will not print them anymore once it's picked.
Yeah. What do you want to leave the people with, the game?
Oh yeah, definitely. I really hope you check it out. The history along the Nile and on the continent period is rich, super rich, and it's just completely been overlooked. People take little things from it and add it to their own stories that don't involve us. And I really hope you check this one out and feel empowered by it. Follow it around, let it be your new obsession. And yeah, man, I want to answer any questions. I want you guys to be involved in the conversation.
You guys have got the game. For all you know, with the right pledge, maybe you could even be a character. Who knows? Check it out. You got the game. If you do nothing else, share this with someone. It may change their life. You guys have been blessed. Man. Thank you for coming on, brother.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Are you tired of the rat race in America? Are you ready to visit the motherland to relax and rejuvenate? Are you ready to explore all that Africa has to offer? Then check out the brand new Diversified Game Academy course, Prepare for My First Trip to Africa. Are you worried about being able to afford the trip? We got you. We will show you how to travel either on a budget or as a baller. Learn how to stress the value of the USD, Did you know that 100 United States dollars is worth over 1,000 South African rand, or 10,000 Kenyan shillings, or 54,250 West African CFA? Are you worried about taking your kids? Get the game from Kellen Cash, a bona fide world traveler, having traveled to almost 20 countries, several of those in Africa. Get the game on taking your kids on their first trips. Learn how to find the best tickets, get the visas, and plan your own adventures in Africa. Don't let Eddie Murphy have all the fun. Plan your own coming to Africa trip starring you, produced by you, and featuring you. If you are ready for a life-changing experience, sign up for our course today, Diversified Game Academy. Get prepared and purchase at diversifiedgame.com.